Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again with the follow-up video for the Mamba Viper Strike of the Mamba Trickster using Binos and a whole bunch of Poison Prolif because of the Binos, and just stacking a whole shitload of low tolerance so that your first hit does all the damage, and that's all there is to it. Yep, pretty fucking good build in the end. We hit level 97 effortlessly. It took, I think it was one day, 3 hours, so about 27 hours to hit level 97 to clean up all Ubers, to do all tier 17s several times, and just farm the game a lot. So people looked at my character, they went, 97, wow, you sure did enjoy this build a lot. Like, you played it a lot. Nope, just went fast. Yeah, like, we juiced a lot of maps. So basically put this character to the test on lots of different juicy boy maps. So breaches, abysses, ambushes, tried expeditions, tried all kinds of stuff because just one tap cleans the screen every time, and it feels pretty damn good, and it's very safe, reliable, and yeah, it just got me to high levels quickly and easily, and I was just having fun running around one tapping. So even when I was trying to craft the gear, even when I was trying to put the character together, I was like, nah, fuck this. If I've got minus fucking 20 to each res, doesn't matter, I just want to get out there and stab stuff. It's a lot of fun. So this is going to be basically a highlight reel of lots of various situations, bosses, 4-ways, 5-ways, tier 17s, Ubers, etc. And I also even incorporate some footage with a more gimped setup. But primarily for the Prolif, you do need Binos. If you're actually going to go all out for a single target, you can swap out the Binos for these Uber fights and stuff. It only really serves a purpose as a Prolif stick. If you don't need the Prolif, which you absolutely do for mapping, so this is like the most juiced version of Expedition as an example. The Prolif hard carries your mapping. If you don't want to do that because you can't get a Binos, then you can do a Pathfinder for Prolif, and that is the same thing. And instead, you can do a Pathfinder version of this type of skill, which there should be lots of different ways of building. You don't have to go CI. I'd recommend, if it were me and I were wanting to do some of this skill again, knowing that math will made it expensive, I would probably do Pathfinder, pick whatever is cheapest. As for claws, swords, daggers, probably claws with really slow fracture fizz, and then I'd probably run a Covenant, and then let flasks do all of the heavy lifting for defenses, stack some life, and then you probably still have a similar amount of damage and just be more of a life-based character. If anything, you might have more damage. If you're running a Covenant, you will most likely have more damage than my character, even if you're wearing a shield. So you can run a Savalan, and then, yeah, just be block-based or more defense-based. I don't know. There's lots of options. Basically, the take-home message that I'm trying to send here is that Perfect Agony, I think, is in a pretty OP state right now, and then especially when combined with Mamba, because you can stack low tolerance, which takes care of all of the damage of the build, as opposed to just the damage over time. We also take care of the damage. And I did try Sanctum. I only did one Sanctum. This is my first 83 Sanctum for the entire league. I haven't even done a quest Sanctum, and yeah, this thing shits on Sanctum as well. You just run past one tapping every single mob. Setting up against the bosses, of course, still makes sense, but for the rest of the content, you basically just run past, stabbing it, and then watching it die. You can also attach Ambush to Second Wind, just so you can ambush more frequently. I haven't done that because it didn't seem necessary. You can attach Enhance to, like, Alchemist Mark, so that it does a bit more, but I don't think that's particularly necessary either. My character does just have a lot of spare sockets at the moment and some inefficiencies here or there because it's just not necessary to fix them. And I don't know what I'd really do with some spare sockets. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. And yeah, I stopped spending money and doing things for the character because it's not necessary quite a while ago, because it's just fine. Like, we can build a bit more defensive we need, we can build more offensive we need, we can go much more expensive. This should be a pretty flexible skill for a lot of people's needs. Pathfinder, Occultist, Binos, not Binos, Explosions, life-based, ES-based, what the fuck ever. It's just super strong, and I can recommend looking into it in some capacity. So I think we hit dot cap. I think the Alchemist Mark helps, and I don't know. If apparently that's part of the dot cap, so it can't go over it, but I don't know. The ground effect might be separate. Who the fuck knows? Apparently it's not, but I'm still just throwing out a who the fuck knows. I will say though that if this hits dot cap, it's going to be a more powerful looking dot cap than almost any other kind of poison build, because there's no ramp time, and that's what people kind of perceive as potentially a more powerful dot cap, because all you're doing is winding up your attack and then attacking once, and then you are at your most powerful poison immediately, whereas typically your poisons ramp a bit. You have to hit a few times, you hit like the duration, a few of the poisons that, you know, need to accumulate to that dot cap, and then you're there. Whereas this one, it's only one attack. So for all these bosses, you could instead just go with 2 big daggers instead of Binos plus a dagger, but it doesn't seem necessary, so I didn't bother crafting a second dagger specifically for boss fights or anything. All the T17s were basically a joke, clearing them really quite comfortable, and then sure, there might be some bad map mods, but usually still pretty comfortable. I then did take on all the Ubers, and they're a bit slower, they're a bit tougher, but it's still not really an issue. Of course, I'm going to die to some of the mechanics and whatever, but for the most part, you pretty much need like a stab or 2 for most things. Like a normal maven, that's just 1 stab per phase. So I think kill Maven in 7 attacks, 7 stabs, pretty damn clean. Uber Maven's a bit of a different story. You do have to stab several times. Eater of Worlds really loves to jump out of your Alchemist Mark, so that takes a little bit longer. The phases in between for Uber Eater are pretty comfortable as well, because like our defenses are not shit at all. 6k ES, like 85% evasion, something like that, with a lot of Ghost Shroud, a lot of recharge, capped suppress, and a much stronger form of suppress. Some Fizz taken as chaos, so that CI is even better. And you can easily get a lot more ES on this character if you want. As I think I mentioned, the Light of Meaning, where I've got my evasion one, you can spend 20 divines instead, put an ES one there, and you can immediately hit 8k ES, if that's what you feel like doing. That's an Uber Cirrus as well. Pretty clean kill on that one. Just one stab, maybe a second stab. Yeah, right at the end there. This is losing the jewels and then doing a whole bunch of content once again, because a lot of people were like, oh, but the jewels, even though when I bought them, they were 1 divine each, because they are not something anyone wanted or mattered to anyone. Likewise with the Binos, I bought a perfect Binos for 50C because no one cares, and then things get price fixed afterwards, and then people blame me as if my build's more expensive. No, you can always put together cheap stuff that people aren't looking at. So the rest of the content here is without jewel sockets, and I recommended in the previous video, if you can't get these jewels, just get lots of crit multi on 2 extra jewels, so you still make up like 100 crit multi or so. Currently I am without the jewels and without 100 crit multi, and these tier 17s, these uber fights, go down roughly the same. Like, it is hard for me to tell the difference most of the time. I think it does help on the ubers. I am probably getting more damage out of it. But on non-ubers, I think I'm over the dot cap regardless, with or without the jewels. I don't know. It didn't feel any different. But, of course, like I said, I would still, at the very least, craft some, or buy some good high crit multi jewels to replace this shit if I could not get it. But it's not super important. It's 25% more damage, and, an extra couple of crit multi-jewels would bridge that gap to make it like a 10% nerf, something like that. But you don't even have to be a trickster. You don't have to steal the assassin nodes. You can actually be an assassin. You can be an occultist. You can be a pathfinder. And all of those will have good, big results. And Binos, like I said, not even necessary if you instead go Pathfinder. So there's lots of options. And I was even tempted to run another Pathfinder straight after this as Mamba and make it on a more budget once again. Of course, it would no longer be the same budget if I did it a second time around, but I do think I could remake Mamba several times under several different conditions, have similar levels of power, and it'll be cheap and different every single time. It's just a very strong interaction, perfect Agony in general. I don't think I'm a fucking genius for putting together a build here and making it crazy. Perfect Agony, I think, is very crazy right now, especially combined with Mamba and then the low tolerances. So look into all kinds of stuff there. You'll see me use it again in the future. I think maybe a big bleed build, maybe a big ignite build. For sure, you'll see me use it again. But that's all the bosses and stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and the build and all the highlights. And I'll probably try and move on, make the next character now. So I had a lot of fun on this. One of my favorite skills and builds I've played in quite a while. And look forward to bigger and better things. Thank you very much for watching. See you guys next time.